My friends, this is the third video in my Hitler series and the one video I know you have been most waiting for, Hitler and his so-called world conquests. Right. So 3 years into his chancellorship and dictatorship, Hitler embarked on conquering the lands that he thought had been taken away from the Germans. The first in this series, okay, is the remilitarization of the Rhineland. Now, if you recall from my previous videos, one of the major demands of the Treaty of Versailles was that this whole big region west of the Rhine of Germany, which faced France, German military was not allowed there. The reason that was given was that if there is ever a war again, Germany will take time to mobilize its army and France will be ready and preferably fight the war on the German side itself. Now Hitler started making a lot of noise globally that this is unfair. No country can be expected that a portion of its country, their army cannot go in. A lot of intellectuals sympathized that this was not an acceptable clause. How can we interfere in their internal matters? And using this, Hitler proclaimed that he was sending his troops into Rhineland. When Hitler actually sent the German army into Rhineland, there were only 3 divisions of the German army. On the French side, there were approximately 70 divisions. In the words of Hitler himself, had the French decided to retaliate, we would have run with our tails inside our coats. But the French did not retaliate. They looked towards the British and the British did not say anything. There was no public consensus on whether France should retaliate. And as I mentioned, many intellectuals felt this was one of the very reasonable demands that Hitler was making. Hitler scored a bloodless victory, making him a German hero. Many of his other feelings were forgotten, as the people of Germany were amazed as such a major humiliation had been reversed, giving Hitler the courage soon to move to his next annexation. This time he was going to conquer so-called another country. Now, which was this country? This country was Austria, the land of his birth. Hitler, yes, was born and brought up and educated in Austria. He was an Austrian. Yet, he fought in the German army in the First World War as a normal corporal, and he was the dictator of Germany. Friends, if you recall my earlier videos, when I mentioned about the unification of Germany, I said Bismarck led Prussia to merge all of Germany. But one state was left out, that was Austria. You see, Austria had been part of the Austria-Hungarian Empire, whose king had been German, and Austria was German. But the Austria-Hungarian Empire was a huge empire which had Hungary and Czechs and Slovaks and Romanians and Poles, etc., etc. When the First World War ended, all these other nationalities demanded their independence, and all of these new states came about. Czechoslovakia, Poland, Hungary, etc. So, the core Austria, which was essentially German, had immediately wanted to merge with Germany. But the Western powers felt that again, if Austria merged with Germany, Germany will become very big and very powerful. So, the demand for a referendum was not accepted. Most Austrians felt extremely angry about this because they themselves consider themselves German. Think about it. Had there been a difference, is it possible that an Austrian born could have served in the German army, that is Hitler, and become the dictator of Germany? So yes, there were some politicians, there was the Austrian chancellor who tried to play some politics and avoid, because the Nazi party after Hitler coming to power in Germany was rising in Austria too. They wanted to merge Austria with Germany. So he tried to interfere, get Britain and France interference, but Britain and France would not interfere. Hitler definitely played his part. He bullied him and he said, look, I will send my army if you don't behave yourself, and etc. But the fact of the matter is, when the German army entered Austria, there were celebrations. Some say that they were greeted with rose flowers. After all, the dictator of Germany was an Austrian. This was the so-called big, brilliant victory of Hitler. capturing his own homeland. Okay. After that, now we come to the third big victory of Hitler. You see, a new country had been created called Czechoslovakia. But a part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, Sudetenland, which was completely German, had been merged here. So Czechoslovakia was a highly unstable country at that time. There were Czechs, Slovaks who did not like each other. Then there was some Polish region. Then there was a Romanian region, Hungarian region, and then there was the German region of Sudetenland. Earlier also there was some problem between Sudetens and the Czechs, but the moment Hitler came to power, there began a huge issue there among the German population that they wanted independence and to merge with Germany. Okay, you can say there were already people who consider themselves Nazi there now. Of course, Germany supported them silently, and then in this process, there were a lot of clashes. Hitler just used that and started saying that this is again one of the unjust demands of the Treaty of Versailles. This portion must be returned to Germany. By now, Western powers had started experiencing pressures from their native population. That what are we doing? Are we allowing Germany to have its way every time? Now, while there were also some intellectuals who said this is just reasonable. This is German land, of course. By if they choose to merge with Germany, who are we to stop? It is in this context that this famous Munich conference happened, where Britain and France, Prime Minister, etc., sat down and they discussed with Germany, and it was agreed that okay, fine, Sudetenland can be merged to Germany. Czechoslovakia only protested for one reason, that this region had being the border region of with Germany, had all the defenses that they had built up. Once this is gone, then if tomorrow Germany decides to invade Czechoslovakia, it will be very easy. But you know, the basic logic was that since this is German land, by what logic should we say that they should not be merged into Germany? When the British Prime Minister famously came back to Britain, he showed the agreement that they had signed with Hitler, and he said, "Peace for our times." Little that he knew that in a few years this peace will be violated. Now what happened is Sudetenland was merged to Germany. Hitler had become an extremely big hero in Germany. But what happened is the moment the Sudetenland was merged in Germany, other nationalities sensed that they could get their way. The Slovaks started demanding independence. Okay, and clashes between Czechs, Slovaks increased, of course, tacitly supported by Germany, who was having a ball of a time. But when there were major clashes, now there was no alternative. Hitler had an excuse of saying that, look, I'm trying to protect the Slovaks. They are being killed by the Czechs. Using advantage of this infighting, Germany soon invaded Czechoslovakia. And it's so easy to collapse. Slovaks said they are independent under German protectorate. The whole Czech army was collapsing. Also, by the way, Hitler was not alone. The Poles invaded and captured the Polish region, the Hungarians captured the Hungarian region, and so forth. And I think the Romanians and Lithuanians also captured some portions. So it was a multi-country attack on this tiny state of Czechoslovakia, which was broke up now into pieces. This was a third big victory of this so-called great strategic war leader. Okay. Finally, we come to the issue of Poland. Now, similarly, a scenario had been created in Poland in the Treaty of Versailles. What had happened was there was a small port city, though very strategic city, called Danzig. Now, that was given to Poland, though its population was entirely German. Okay, but to compensate, what had happened was there were some complex agreements wherein it was called the Free City. Some part was with the local government, and it was monitored by the League of Nations, and etc., though it was officially part of Poland. The moment Hitler came to power, and after that, people in Danzig started demanding independence, of course supported by the German regime. There were to and fro negotiations continuously between Germany and Poland. In the meantime, now to show you what actually was playing behind the scenes, you see, Hitler had started building power on an anti-communist pact. So Germany and Italy and Japan, when they got together, they signed an anti-Comintern pact, which is anti-communism. That is one of the reasons you have to understand that Britain and France put a blind eye to the rise of Germany. They thought that this guy will help them keep the communist in check. Okay, here is where again one of the major displays of Hitler's power comes into play. It is in the Spanish Civil War. There was a Spanish Civil War between the communists and the nationalists led by General Franco. While Britain and France did not do anything, it is very open that the Soviet Union supported the communists heavily, and Germany and Italy bombarded the communists supporting Franco. While today they say that, look, this was Hitler displaying his what do you call, military power, etc., etc. And of course German Air Force got a chance to practice its war trials. At that time Britain and France were quiet because he was fighting the communists, and that is the reason why they were quiet for so many other scenarios. Now what happened is, when Hitler started repeating the same story in Poland, that, oh, I want Danzig and nothing else, this, etc., since they had seen what had happened to Czechoslovakia, and they felt, one, they take Danzig, Poland may disintegrate. This time Britain and France said, thank you, enough is enough. If you invade Poland, there will be war. And they talked about signing treaties with Poland. In the parallel, France and Soviet Union were also trying to sign treaties, just like they had done in the First World War. Backdoor diplomacy was going on, but France and Soviet Union could not converge. There was too much distrust of communists, and Hitler, desperately trying to convince France and Britain again, look, I don't want war, I just want Danzig, etc., also realized this bluff was over. The gambler who had constantly bluffed and said, I only want this, I only want that, I just want redressal, and go like a crybaby and say that, look, I just want to rectify the injustice that you have done to us. People were not buying that, okay, anymore. He was not getting the kind of support from the intellectual circles. So what did he do? He reversed it. He went ahead and quietly signed a treaty, doing the ultimate U-turn with the Soviet Union. The Nazi-Soviet Union alliance set up the stage for the Second World War because it sent Britain and France to a shock. They had pampered this guy thinking he will fight communism. What a U-turn he had done. Today we may not realize it, but at that time the Polish actually thought they could take on Germany provided Britain and France supported. You see, okay, but when the German Air Force attacked, you see, nowhere before had the Air Force been used that deadlily. Something called the Blitzkrieg. Poland were completely taken aback, and traditional warfare completely failed because of aerial bombing. This is the first time that aerial bombing became such an important feature, and we know till this date how important it is. This is the first time. France and Britain started reacting, in the same, of course they declared war on Germany, etc. They were readying themselves, they were going in the same manner that they had gone in the First World War. They had not realized that the speed of war had changed. By the time France army was lined up on the border and started moving, Soviet Union had invaded Poland from the other side, and Britain and France realized too late that part of the agreement of Hitler with Stalin was that you will take some portion of Poland and I will take some portion. When Britain and France realized, oh my God, Poland is going to be butchered from both sides, these people were too slow to react, and Poland was over. This was the last big victory of this great war general called Adolf Hitler. a two front attack from Germany and the Soviet Union on Poland. Okay. In my next video, I will tell you his so-called mega victory, and which I believe was really not because of his genius. Thank you. Wait for my next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye. Thank you.